How's it going, everyone? It's Harvey from Weather SpongeBob 1000 here. Today is April 6th, 2021, and today we're going to focus on the potentially major severe weather threat that could impact the Midwest as well as the Southeast, especially with maybe some large hail, isolated tornadoes, and damaging winds. But before, and even flash flooding is also another possibility. But before I begin, make sure to subscribe. If you want to see more weather records, make sure to like. If you like this video, make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather records. So let's begin by taking a look at the current radar right now. By the way, I'm recording this very late, right around 4 a.m. So expect the rain, a lot of this precipitation to move further eastward by the time you're watching this video. I'd say probably right around 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you see that we're seeing some rain and even some snow showers throughout Wyoming and Idaho at this point. And this is expected to move further eastward along with the jet stream winds, the upper level winds, and it's going to create an area of unstable air right around the Midwest. If we take a look at what the GFS model is saying, so this is right about accurate of what is currently happening in the radar. Obviously, the GFS model has its precipitation area a little bit exaggerated, but for the most part, it's fairly similar, at least around the ballpark in terms of the location of the central low pressure system and the location and the area of precipitation. But if we move forward, you're going to see that there's going to be a lot of cold air behind it, and like I said, it's going to set the stage to create a very unstable air mass. We're going to see areas of heavier snow showers throughout northwestern Wyoming and even extending to southwestern Wyoming as well. So keep that in mind if you're right around Yellowstone National Park in Wyoming. If you're right around the higher elevations of the Rocky Mountains, you might want to watch out for some snow showers, or you might want to enjoy it because it might be one of the, well, I still do expect the Rocky Mountains ranges to get snow showers before summer comes, but at least enjoy it just for the time being, because it's not going to be that you aren't going to experience snow for that much longer if you're in the Rocky Mountain ranges and for the United States entirely, where the season's already over. But besides the point, here's the cold air that is behind this low pressure system, this trough, and like I said, it's going to set the stage, and we're going to see this low pressure system become quite formidable, dropping down to 991 millibars. We're going to see a slight dip in the jet stream. However, we're still, the core of the cold air will still be far to the north. So while this certainly has a chance to produce some severe weather in the Midwest, I wouldn't say it's going to be anything major just yet, because there simply isn't enough unstable air. There aren't enough very potent upper level winds to really induce major severe weather threat in the Midwest. However, there will be just enough cold air associated with this trough that's going to move through to create a very unstable environment, to create convection, very strong updrafts, and updrafts just strong enough for some severe weather, such as maybe some hail and damaging winds, is certainly possible through the Midwest. And then you see that if we move forward, there's going to be a little bit of a squall line that's going to form along this slight, I wouldn't say a dip in the jet stream, because the jet stream will primarily stay to the north, but there's going to be at least some cold air behind this trough, as it's almost essentially an upper level low where it's essentially cut off from the jet stream. So while it is cut off from the jet stream, there's still going to be cold air just enough to create very strong updrafts in the southeast and extending to the Midwest. This is around 48 hours from now, by the way. So right around Thursday, you should expect some severe weather in the southeast. If we take a look at the futurecast radar, because it better exemplifies the severe weather timing and who exactly will get impacted by severe weather, you begin to see that as early as Wednesday morning, we do see some scattered thunder showers throughout Minnesota, and then this will eventually extend further southward into Missouri and Kansas. And moving forward, you see that Wednesday seems to be the sweet spot when it comes to, or the day, pretty much the day of severe weather for a lot of the pretty much the Mississippi River Valley, extending from Louisiana all the way to Iowa. And this is a pretty large squall line. I wouldn't say this will necessarily be a major severe weather threat. Like, don't expect numerous tornadoes to come out of this squall line, or maybe extremely large hail, but it will be enough to produce at least some hail and damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour in some of these isolated thunderstorms. And that still is certainly something you need to at least pay attention to and to be aware of, because even hail that's very small in diameter, or damaging winds that are 60 miles per hour and in the absence of a tornado, it still could cause damage to your home through because branches could fall during 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. And also even small hail in diameter could damage your car, could damage certain areas in your house. So you need to pay close attention to this all throughout the Midwest and the Mississippi River Valley, despite not being an extremely major severe weather threat. As Wednesday seems like it'll be when the worst of the severe weather will occur for most of the Mississippi River Valley and extending further northward into the Midwest. And in terms of and the Europe and if we take a look at the convective available potential energy to see how much available potential energy there will be to fuel these thunderstorms, if we take a look and move forward, you're going to see that there's going to be quite a bit of convective available potential energy, and it's going to be just enough to where thunderstorm activity will occur right along the Mississippi River Valley, where we do see a pretty large area of potential energy that could fuel a lot of these thunderstorms, and that could really get that could really get these updrafts going to create a lot of these thunderstorms along the Mississippi River Valley. And you see that most of the convective available potential energy is right over the Gulf of Mexico, and that's definitely concerning, because obviously the Gulf of Mexico is filled with water, just a large area of water, and it's very warm water as well. So when we're seeing a lot of convective available potential, I don't know, the convective available potential energy, I don't know what I just said there, but if we see a lot of the energy over the Gulf of Mexico, there's going to be a lot of water vapor that's going to be absorbed by the atmosphere, and thanks in part due to the southerly wind component associated with the ridge that's going to be located in the eastern half of the United States. We're going to see a lot of that energy move further northward to create this squall line and thunderstorms that could be severe at times. So keep a close eye on this if you're along the Mississippi River Valley, because a severe weather threat is likely for you guys, where you could see wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour, small hail, and potentially some isolated tornadoes in some areas. So keep a close eye on that all throughout the Mississippi River Valley. However, despite me explaining how impactful the severe weather threat could be throughout the Mississippi River Valley, unfortunately, that is not the thing that I am most concerned about for as of right now. Because if we take a look even more in the future, with the convective available potential energy map from the GFS model, we begin to see that there's going to be a lot more potential energy forecasted in the future, where if we move to the 4-day mark, you see that Louisiana, Texas, and even Mississippi, they are in just very adverse conditions when it comes to the amount of potential energy there is. And this would mean that there's going to be just extremely strong updrafts. I mean, we have some areas with convective available potential energy going up to the 3,500 range in joules per kilogram, which is just a lot of energy that the atmosphere, a lot of potential energy that is pretty much located in the southeast, and that's certainly could fuel the chance of just a major severe weather threat. Because even with the past big severe weather threats we've been seeing all throughout March, I haven't seen a convective available potential energy map this severe in quite a while, for pretty much the entire year, I'd say, where we see just the darker reds show up throughout the southeast. And that's very concerning for me because that's going to really create a major severe weather threat by how strong the updrafts will be. And thanks to the strong updrafts, we're going to see obviously very strong upper level winds associated with this convective available potential energy. And as a result, tornadoes could be likely from this potentially major severe weather threat. And large hail should certainly be the issue, as well as even damaging winds even worse than 60 miles per hour. So this is definitely concerning. However, we are still 4 days out, so there's still some time this forecast for the forecast should change, and hopefully it does because it does look worrisome. However, with since both the GFS and the European model are agreeing that there's going to be a pretty big dip in the jet stream thanks to this trough that's going to come right behind the trough I've been talking about, where we're going to see a trough move quickly to the south and east. Since the GFS and the European model are forecasting this trough to be pretty strong and this dip to be pretty strong as well, it seems like we're going to see just a lot of unstable air in the southeast, as it's becoming more likely that some sort of major severe weather threat will occur in some of the southeast states, especially right around Louisiana, Texas, and Mississippi, where we could see the worst of the severe weather threat in those areas. And another concern that I have is how slow this low pressure system will move, because since this low pressure system is moving very slowly, to it's not even moving, there's going to become a point where this low pressure system doesn't even move very far eastward and just move straight up north. And this is as a result of a blocking ridge that's located over the eastern half of the United States, pretty much along the east coast, and that's bringing the well above average temperatures and just very beautiful weather conditions through along the east coast. However, it certainly won't be beautiful right around the Mississippi River Valley, because the low pressure system will linger over the same area and just bring precipitation over the same areas in the southeast and midwest, and it will just linger around. And since the jet stream is well far up to the north, it can't really disrupt this low pressure system or steer it out into the open Atlantic or further eastward, as it's going to be in an area where the steering flows are going to be very weak. So this low pressure system is going to stay over the same area, and that raises the concern of potentially flooding in some areas, and especially in the southeast, because since this low pressure system is lingering over the same area, it's going to bring stronger northwest winds, which is going to encourage this trough to move to the southeast. And since the air is already very humid at this point, the dew points are very high. That means that we're more likely to see precipitation all throughout the Mississippi River Valley for the rest of this week, and that raises a concern of flooding, where eventually we do see that trough move further southward, and we see just a lot of convection occur right around the southeast states. And the European model is also agreeing with the amount of thunderstorm activity that could occur right around the 4 day mark in the southeast. Taking a look at the futurecast radar of the European model, you're going to see that if we move forward right around the 4 day mark, we do see quite a bit of convection throughout the southeast, and I'd assume that a lot of these thunderstorms will be severe, because the European model is also forecasting a little bit of a trough to move through just behind the low pressure system. And since this low pressure system is moving quite slowly, unfortunately it's bringing strong northwesterly winds to steer this low pressure system further southward, and that raises a concern of the major severe weather threat I've been talking about. So we need to keep a close eye on this next severe, I wouldn't say next severe weather threat, because it is somewhat associated with this trough, or directly associated with this trough, since this trough is pretty much setting the stage for the severe weather threat in the southeast. But at least right around the 4 day mark, I'd say Friday, you guys need to pay close attention to the southeast, because right now amount of unstable air both the computer models are forecasting in this region and the amount of potential energy that could help these thunderstorms grow is just looking very, very bad and severe at this point. And I want you guys to at least be aware of it. So, in terms of the exact areas where you should expect the severe weather, you see that moderate severe weather should be expected throughout the yellows and oranges, mainly, and it's going to be in the short term future. Keep that in mind. I'd say within 48 hours, a lot of these areas in the yellows and the oranges will get affected by severe thunderstorms. So watch out for some hail and damaging winds, as those should be the main issues, and maybe an isolated tornado in some areas. But for the most part, damaging winds and hail should be the main concern, at least for the short term future. However, in the red, while I won't assert that there's automatically going to be a major severe weather threat just yet, because there's still time for the forecast to change, it seems like the possibility is certainly rising based off what both of the major computer models are saying. So keep a close eye on this if you're in the red, because we could see another major severe weather threat, which is certainly unfortunate. And then in the greens, and if you're in the green area, obviously you should expect barely any severe weather, little to no severe weather at all, as there just won't be enough unstable air or just updrafts that are strong enough to really induce a lot of severe weather. So keep that in mind all throughout the United States for this week, because this could be quite an impactful severe weather threat for a lot of you guys. And I want you guys all stay safe, especially in the Southeast. Just at least be aware of this next potential severe weather threat for this week. And in terms of rainfall, you see that, like I said, one of my main concerns is how slow this trough will be moving. And you see that since this trough is going to move very slowly thanks to a blocking ridge in the eastern half of the United States, especially in the Northeast, you see that there's a large area of Minnesota receiving close to 3 to 4 inches of rain, and then you see a large area of the Southeast receiving close to 5 inches of rain, which is definitely worrisome, and proof alone that there's going to be a blocking ridge that's going to make the rain pretty much stay over the same areas is if we take a look at the Northeast, where you see over the next 5 days no precipitation is forecast throughout a lot of areas in the Northeast. Obviously there's some areas such as Maine, but for the most part it's going to be dry over the next 5 days. And when we see weather that extreme, where it's going to be dry in one place and only several hundred miles to the south it's going to be raining over an inch over the next 5 days, it's definitely not something we want to see, as particularly extreme like changes like this is what or big contrasts when it comes to precipitation like this typically means that extreme weather should be expected in at least some areas. So keep a close eye on it if you're all throughout the Mississippi River Valley and Southeast, because again, this could be a major flood threat, major damaging wind threat associated with these thunderstorms, hail threat, and also tornado threat by this next potential severe weather threat in the Southeast. So keep a close eye on it. But anyway, guys, I thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather-related content. Make sure to like if you like this video. Make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather-related content. And I hope you guys have a good day.